Silence is directed by Martin Scorsese and stars Adam Driver, Andrew Garfield, and Liam Neeson, and is a story about two Jesuit priests that are from Portugal that go to search for their mentor, played by Liam Neeson, who is being held prisoner in Japan. Now, a little backstory. I've actually come to grow a lot with Martin Scorsese's films, especially some of his earlier stuff like Goodfellas, Casino, Cape Fear, and just a lot of in Hugo and The Departed. And I feel like the guy is a great director who's never really made a bad movie in the past. And I was actually kind of looking forward to this movie a lot because I'm a big fan of Liam Neeson, and I actually really like the way that this film looks like from the trailers, the way it's shot, because it takes place in the 17th century Nagasaki, Japan, and the film deals with the two priests going to search for Liam Neeson, and along the way they're spreading their beliefs of Catholicism around the Japanese areas. And while on the way there's a dark story involved where, I'm not going to spoil anything, but when they get there, a lot of things get a lot more intense for what happens with with a lot of the people that are involved with religion. And I'll hold it that because honestly, this is one of those films that I feel like it's hard for me to review because without really going into too much detail with religion, it's not really a film that I can really go into detail with unless I was pretty much spoiling what happens. And the pros that I do have with this film though is I really love the way this is shot. From what I heard, this was shot in Taiwan. And Scorsese really knows how to point the camera in a lot of different areas of the forest and a lot of the different foggy areas in Japan. And I feel like seeing his way that he uses this style where he sees like an overhead view of some of the characters, I really think is very clever. And it's come to this point, it's no surprise that Scorsese is a talented filmmaker, and he'll always know how to shoot films behind the scenes. And another thing I really praise too is the performances, especially Andrew Garfield and Liam Neeson and Adam Driver stand out completely. They are the three biggest praises that I have for this film, along with the way it was directed, because their performances are very emotional, and you get a lot of sense of sense of dwell and that really mood that you can really feel from these guys and how they're trying to question not only their religion but also having to spread their beliefs around other people. And I come to really enjoy a lot of Andrew Garfield's movies, especially coming off of Hacksaw Ridge. And here, he really does shine playing as the young priest that's trying to spread his beliefs, but along the way, he starts to realize that there's other things involved that he also questions about. So it gets to a point where it gets so intense in a lot of scenes where you feel like you're really there with him on what he's witnessing. And I also really enjoyed Liam Neeson. I think that he's my favorite part of the film because I really love this backstory they give him in the beginning of the movie, and then we also reveal a twist that comes way later in the movie, because if you count up his screen time, Liam Neeson's only in this for me for about, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes at most, because the rest of the film is all the build-up leading to his character. And when he finally comes on screen toward the later half of the movie, it really shows that he puts a lot of integrity into this role, because this is probably one of the best performances that I've seen out of his roles, and he really knows how to shine in these kind of dramatic performances that he takes. Another thing I really did praise was I like that there's the lack of music in the film, because knowing by the title it's called Silence, it was good that there's not really any score playing. It gives you that kind of realistic feel of how things were back in the 17th century, and you really feel the uneasiness in a lot of scenes where a lot of the intense moments happened. And other than that, though, that's the biggest praises I'll give with the movie. And I also really, and to continue, I also really did enjoy the way at first it was kind of building on the whole themes of how they're spreading their religion at first, and how they're trying to confront people in the different ways of how they tackle it. And so I really liked where it was going at first, but this is where I get down to my biggest cons in the film. I really felt like the pace in this film dragged so much. I would say probably at least the first hour, it took a long time for things to really pick up for me. don't get me wrong, I like when the movie's taking its time to do a lot of build up, but there are a lot of scenes in this film where you have characters talking about the discussions going on with how they're dealing with their faith. And while I do think that it's a good idea, it presents the themes with the movie, I did have a problem with this because every scene it felt like it was repeating the exact same thing over and over and over again. And there's a lot of scenes in the film that you really, if you took out, you wouldn't really miss anything as far as the actual way it was structured throughout the rest of the movie. And so that was my biggest problem with this one, because that first hour, I was really, like, I'd say for the first hour and 15 minutes, I was, like, very almost bored, and I was waiting for something to get going with how it flowed. And when things get more intense later in the film, it does get to me, but I feel like those parts are far in between, because once the intense scenes are over, we would get other scenes that are involved where characters are discussing what's happening. And while these scenes are emotional in a lot of parts, I really felt like they dragged it way too much. And I'm not trying to say this is a bad movie. I just feel like this is probably my least favorite, at least of Scorsese's that he's directed, because I felt like the story could have been probably wrapped up a little sooner than what it could have been. And I could have thought that they probably should have explored other themes going on besides the same things we were seeing already, because it felt like it was just a rinse and repeat kind of movie where you see the same scene happening and then going to the next scene. You know, it just kept going on and on and on and on. And I was pretty much checking my phone a bunch of times because I really kind of felt bored throughout it. But overall, though, I will say that the last 45 minutes does pick up for me, like, the most, because it gets to the point where all the stuff that we lead up to Liam Neeson does pay off for me. And with that, I really enjoyed the way that the story unfolded with when we finally get to see his character. And so, overall, I did find this one a bit pretty much overrated. I know this is getting a lot of praise from a lot of critics and some people, and that's fine. I'm glad you liked the movie, and I respect your opinion and all, but for me, I feel like this was pretty much not really forgettable, but it's really just a misstep for Scorsese's films that I was looking forward to. So with that, I'm going to give the movie a 6 out of 10. What did you guys think of Silence? Comment below, and if you like what you see here, you can check out more of my reviews on my channel, and I'll be seeing you in my next review. I'll see you later.